let's jump into it and see what it's all about. Explain to us a little bit, firstly, how your company works and how your data, AI for that matter, ties into what you provide your customers.
Yeah, so it's no kind of secret that there's a lot of security cameras globally. It's known to be that if you walk around throughout the day, you'll get caught on camera between 20 and 30 times, depending on where you are. The reality is that businesses put security systems up for two reasons, really. One is to protect their investment. This is their livelihood after all. And the second is to prevent theft in their business. It's actually quite good for doing the first aspect of it's there as an insurance policy. If something happens, you can go back to the footage and retrieve it. It's actually very poor at reducing the amount of theft that happens in retail or liability that happens. So we really focused on what is the underlying data that surrounds video. And it's not just from a risk perspective, but it's how can you use that data to improve the operations and profitability of your business. So a good example that we use is there's about 3 million hours of surveillance video that get captured every minute. Do you care to guess how much data is captured on YouTube every minute?
I know just hundreds of millions of views and or
yeah.
participants.
So these are like when people watch video over and over again. So the surveillance is the opposite. Is people rarely watch it, if ever watch it. It's always recording, and it's always there. And the reality is we use that footage today as an insurance policy. When bad things happen, we go back to it. And so Solink's premise and the foundation of it is how can we identify the insights that are happening behind video? The insights around where you could potentially have theft in your business, potentially where you have certain loyalty customers that are coming in, and how can you serve those customers better? Insights around operational efficiencies. How do we get the right people to talk to the right customers at the right time? The reality is, all of these tools and tactics exist in the digital world, but they've never really existed in the physical space. And so the idea is how can we use video not as an insurance policy, but as the ultimate sensor in physical space.
Wonderful. I mean, yeah, you're right. There's so much data that can be extracted from all this content or I say content, but it really, as you say, just video feed in general. Now, interesting question I want to ask you, security and privacy and how those things, how do you see this play out in this industry that you are dealing with now that has to do with video and security and insurance? I mean, how does this all tie together? How do you see this tied together?
Yeah, so fundamentally, we're not doing anything that you couldn't do if you were sitting in front of a computer watching this footage, right? So if you sat in front of the computers, and that's what our customers do today, unfortunately. Prior to using Solink, that's what they were forced to do. If something happened in their business, they would be forced to sit and watch hours and hours of video until they uncovered what happened, and then they'd be able to create an incident around it. What we do is we use AI and we use lots of other tactics to be able to segment that video to understand what is happening. And we use other tools, other data systems that happen to better understand and to put context around the video. So an example of that is if I go to a store and I return a pair of jeans, there is a refund that happens on the POS, but there's also an exchange of product across the counter. And there is a customer and there is an employee. If you saw the refund happen from a POS standpoint, you wouldn't think twice of it. But if you saw the refund happen and you knew from the video that there was no customer present during that refund, that would probably be a problem, right? Yeah. And as a store owner, you'd want to know about that. Yeah. I mean, that would creep up later when you did your inventory counts and you looked at, where's your cash balance and where's the pair of jeans that came through, and you would inevitably find that information, but it would take you hours and hours and hours of investigation. Yeah. So the idea of what Solink does is that we comb through all that data, and we look at patterns that typically lead to theft, and we help our customers get to that information in seconds rather than days or hours of looking at it.
Oh, I love that. That's great. That's thank you for clarifying that, because I think that's a real true aspect of what sets you aside from so many, or just once again, security footage in general. Now let's talk a little bit. Your company is hot. It's doing some amazing things. You got some investment last year that helped support you, kind of moving you forward. I mean, we know when you get an investment, you are trying to grow your business and or company, but maybe you could share with us a little bit what's your strategy in using that investment to take the company to the next step?
Yeah, I mean, so in the same token that there's 3 million hours of video that get, you know, recorded every minute, there's 20 billion that gets spent in the video security industry. And primarily people spend it on hardware. They spend it on buying expensive cameras, expensive storage, all-in-one devices that can do all kinds of magical whiz-bang things. And we truly believe that the value of the underlying infrastructure, the hardware, is in the data. And how can we use that data to, like I said earlier, be the ultimate sensor in physical space? And so us bringing in investment last year was really just an opportunity for us to continue to serve our customers and to be able to add on to what we're already doing. So an example of that is, today we offer insights to our customers around potential patterns of activity and theft that is happening in your store. And it helps our business owners kind of sleep better at night. It helps them be able to go on vacation without being kind of paranoid of what's happening to their livelihood. And so the add-on to that is we collect a lot more than just security data. Through that footage, you see customer engagement, you see operational efficiency, you see marketing insights. And so the opportunity is, how can we leverage that fundraising that we brought in to help bubble up some different layers of insight that are already in the video that we're collecting, that we can segment out. So an example of that is, you've gone to a drive-through window before, I'm sure.
Yes.
McDonald's, Burger King,
Exactly.
Tim Hortons.
Me? Never.
Yeah.
No, of course. I got 2 little kids.
Yeah.
Of course I have.
So,
yes, absolutely.
I mean, one of the things that every quick service restaurant has is a service level around how many seconds they want every customer to spend through that experience. And oftentimes it's a pretty complicated formula, but sometimes it's just really simple of, hey, we want it to be less than 20 seconds at a certain window, for example. And so we collect information not only from the drive-through experience, but also from the POS and also from the video.
Wonderful.
And so you can start saying, show me all of those customer engagements that took more than 30 seconds or 50 seconds, and what were the disastrous experiences that we had with customers, and how do we take steps internally to rectify that?
Wow.
And internally as a goal is, when we launch these packages, is it has to move the needle for the customer. It has to make an impact. And so not only are they using Solink as a core application to get proactive insight about their security, they're also using it as a way to understand their operations and how they can engage with their customers more meaningfully.
If you're watching this, I'm here with the CEO and co-founder of Solink, Michael Matter. Thank you so much for joining us today. I'm going to ask you one more question. I mean, from a data perspective, AI perspective, talent perspective, Ottawa tech in general, your company obviously is out there growing, which means, yes, you're trying to find good people, attract talent, attract people that will work with your company. How's the talent out there look? I mean, this is a frequent question we ask so many other companies. Maybe you could share with me a little bit how your strategy is in dealing with that, and maybe what we can do as a city and or other tech firms to attract the talent, and maybe what we should do as Ottawa, and are we making those waves so people going, hey, I've not considered coming this direction until Solink.
Right. Yeah, it's a good question. So I think, we're fortunate in Ottawa and even specifically in Canada to have kind of a long legacy of great engineering and people that have been through, building the internet as we know it today, the underlying infrastructure for the internet. And so, in fact, many of the people on our team, including our CTO, came from companies that helped build the underlying, infrastructure we know of today as the internet. And so they understand the concept of reliability and redundancy and the ability to have failover and building hardened applications that are meant to scale, that are meant to go global, is something that you can find talent to hire in Ottawa. I think some of the things that we don't find as easily in Ottawa, fortunately for us, we were able to find it, but I think it is really hard to find kind of visionaries that have the the ability to bring a craft, specifically to sales and marketing, and how can you go broad and think of the market differently, not just do what everyone else is doing, but be able to kind of move the needle and attract customers globally from Ottawa. That's a hard thing to do, and luckily, and we do think globally, but at the same time, we're not forced to be globally. We don't have offices in every city in the world. We have partners in every city in the world. We have the benefit of kind of creating a great product that attracts a lot of attention from global brands and global customers. So we don't need to be global, but having global mindset and thinking about how do we reach that global community is something that is hard to find in Ottawa. And luckily, we just hired a head of sales and hired a head of marketing, and they buy into that vision. And part of it was they were comfortable in their roles, and they wanted to think bigger and have a vision to be able to scale a company from 0 to 100 million, a billion. Why not?
I know. Thank you so much for joining me today, Michael, and congratulations on everything that's happening with Solink. We look forward to hearing much more about you in the future. And for those of you that's watching us, make sure you go check it out on techopia.ca to get some more information about Solink as well, and find out about all the great things that's already taken place. Otherwise, join us here either Wednesdays or Mondays to find out more about all the amazing tech that's happening within our city. Thank you so much and have a great day. Bye.